A startling montage suddenly appears. With a new line of stitches across his nose, Micah PLA looks straight at the camera. In a tight-voiced confessional, Ethan PLA refers to Veronica as a tiny monster. When I first saw those pictures, my chest constricted. My name is Maya Rose. Welcome to Star Scoop US. If you watch the show, please subscribe right away and leave a comment with your initial thoughts. The wedding calm vanishes in a matter of seconds as reception tables topple over and decorations fall apart. Micah is shown in the teaser freezing, saying he had to pick her or break off his relationship. And then there is stillness. Only the facts seen on the screen will be used in this video. I'll mention the counseling incident where a claim regarding naked images is captured on camera. I'll look at the mid-season teaser, which depicts Micah's injuries and the commotion at reception. I'll quote Micah's and Ethan's confessionals as they were broadcast. I will only trust public posts that are verified by reliable sources. I will never rely on private messages or made-up lines. Anticipate transparent sourcing, verifiable proof, and frank assessment. I want you to vote in and witness every claim with me. The remarks according to the broadcast record, and ensure that the conversation is equitable for all participants. Following the timeline exactly as it developed on screen is the most effective method to understand what transpired. Those who have seen every episode of Welcome to Plathville are aware of the show's meticulous editing, but they also recognize specific instances when viewed side by side. The therapy session will be shown first, followed by the mid-season teaser and the actual wedding week video. Release. Every action taken here is solely based on what was broadcast on the show or what was made public and reported by media sites that provide series recaps. Earlier in the season, the counseling session took place. Everyone was stunned when Veronica made an accusation. She accused Micah of taking a naked picture of her and posting it online without getting her consent. Off-screen, this was not a whisper. During the group treatment, it was uttered in front of cameras. Family members' faces are cut to by the cameras. Astonished, and Ethan moved uncomfortably in his chair. Olivia looked down, and even through the screen you could feel the intense tension in the room. In response, Micah stated throughout the session that the claim was untrue. The session established the tone for the family dynamic going forward, but the therapist advised everyone to maintain decorum. This is significant because it gave an already precarious mix of connections a significant, unresolved accusation. The episode then showed fissures getting wider. Veronica retained her belief that she had been treated unfairly by the family, and that they were not paying attention to her side of the tale. Micah continued to make an effort to avoid taking sides, yet he still seemed to be getting more and more alone. Olivia seemed to be torn between wanting the truth and not wanting to escalate, while Ethan was frequently the one attempting to retaliate against Veronica. The next significant moment that viewers would witness was the mid-season trailer, which was made possible by these on-screen exchanges. As soon as that trailer fell, controlled internet discourse. Micah was standing in front of a mirror when it opened. There were multiple stitches across the bridge of his nose, the kind of injury that needed medical attention but wasn't a scratch. In that clip, there was no explanation of how it occurred. The trailer cut to Ethan in his confessional immediately after that picture. Veronica was a tiny monster, he remarked, staring straight into the camera. That statement's harshness stood in stark contrast to the family's typically subdued speech. It made landing with supporters much more difficult. There was more to the trailer. Chaos at reception flashed. Plates were all over the place. Tables were toppled, and decorations were falling apart. Such a scene is unexpected at a family wedding, particularly one that was meant to be a celebration. Micah's words followed. His voice cracked a little in a brief clip as he stated that he had to decide between choosing her and severing all ties. The emotional impact was evident despite the scant backstory and the incisive editing. Micah had reached a breaking point of some sort, and the trailer ensured that viewers would be anticipating it. Nothing in the episodes at that point clarified Micah's injuries or the specifics of the reception. There was a cliffhanger for fans, and rumors began to circulate. However, it's crucial to remember that the teaser only featured the aftermath. There was never any video of the injury occurring. Only after the commotion had occurred did it reveal the stitches and the overturned tables. That production decision is significant because it influenced subsequent theories. Viewers were given additional insight, but not the entire tale, as the show switched back to wedding week video. The wedding was intended to serve as a unifying occasion. Family members were shown on camera arriving, setting up chairs, decorating and practicing. There were grins, but there were also obvious nervousness. Moria looked upset. Kim and Barry were seen entering with the kind of cautious distance that has marked Olivia's privacy in multiple pictures. Them ever since they parted ways. To put it another way, there was tension present even prior to the actual reception moment. Parts of the trailer were confirmed as the shows moved through the wedding week. The reception hall setting, the decorated tables, and the anticipation of the big day were all shown to us, but there was another jump in the edited episodes. Micah's stitched face reappeared, but this time it was part of the story instead of just the trailer. On camera, he clarified that something had occurred. However, the actual injury moment was not reenacted in the show. The stitches were genuine. Although the injury was recorded, the reason was not identified. Viewers were forced to rely on confessionals and the surrounding context as a result of that editing decision. Ethan's tiny demon remark wasn't limited to the trailer. It also showed up in the main episodes. His admission verified that his remarks were not merely a promotional cut, but rather a part of the official plot. He painted Veronica as the one causing turmoil and immediately linked her to his rage. As for Veronica, she expressed in her own confessional how she felt abused and ignored. She highlighted how alone she felt in the PLA family setting. Fans were left with more questions than answers on the injury itself, despite the fact that these on-screen remarks offered both sides a chance to speak. Cameras captured the reception setup by the time the wedding day footage was shown. Visitors and family were seated. After the band finished playing, the atmosphere changed. The impression of abruptness was produced with shots of fallen decorations and a cutaway of shocked faces. Eruption. However, once more, there was no direct video of a fight or mishap. Rather, the broadcast focused on reactions. Micah holding his face, Veronica crying, Olivia looking tense, and Ethan storming out. Although the footage was carefully chosen to provide parts, the impact was genuine. Knuckle. There were other public posts that became viral outside of the show. A few Instagram photos and comments were recorded by outlets that followed the family. These messages alluded to conflict over personal grievances and seating arrangements, but nothing released by Micah's sutures were definitively explained by reliable sources. The outlets only verified that there were strong emotions and that family members admitted something went wrong at the reception. That filled the void, but it was consistent with what we saw on TV. Thus, this is how the confirmed chronology appears. On camera, the therapy session revealed a serious and unresolved accusation. The mid-season teaser emphasized Ethan's little demon remark, Micah's injuries, and photographs of a raucous reception without providing explanations. The wedding week episodes did not reveal the cause, but they did establish that the injury was real and that chaos did break out. The aftermath was covered in public posts, but no clarification was provided. The center is absent, but every piece lines up. This plotline has become one of the most contentious in Welcome to Plathville because of that missing piece, according to fans. The editing verified that a dramatic event occurred, but by eliminating the cause's direct film, the production produced room for conflicting stories. Micah didn't visualize his sutures. Ethan was blunt in his indignation. Veronica was clearly in anguish. In fact, the reception tables were flipped. The facts are displayed on the screen. The link that ties those moments together is what's lacking. That is a step-by-step validated timeline. It is based on what was broadcast on the program and what media outlets covering public posts recorded. No fictitious information, no hypothetical conversation, and no further conjecture. This serves as the basis. We can then begin to consider how the narratives conflict, how motivations influence perception, and why viewers are drawn so strongly to opposing viewpoints. However, the timeline is reliable. Clip for a therapy session, footage from the reception, accusations, injuries, and mayhem. These are the facts as they are presented. The second layer that emerges when you align the facts from the episodes is not simply what actually occurred, but also how and why each individual describes it. Competing narratives have always been the lifeblood of Welcome to Plathville. The truth frequently lurks in the gap between one person's words and another's response. In this instance, the public assertions made by Veronica and the reaction of the family, particularly that of Ethan and Tegan, show us the map. You must examine the language, the motivations, and the emotional stakes for each individual in order to comprehend what is taking place. First, let's talk about Veronica. During therapy, she shockingly claimed on air that Micah had shared an unguarded nude photo of her. In the series, no one has ever played a card as heavy as that. Veronica emphasized in her confessions how she felt ignored, mistreated, and excluded from the family story. She made it clear that she was tired of being silenced, and that her side of the story was important online by posting things that were picked up by media sites. She is obviously motivated by survival. She makes her experience part of the show's official record by making it public. She makes sure she can't be removed from the narrative, whether or not viewers believe her. It's expensive. Creating that. Making a public claim is a boundary that cannot be crossed. However, she sees the benefit as legitimacy. She wants the audience to understand that she has not been safeguarded by the family that says they will protect each other. Micah comes next. His motivation is the exact opposite of that. He refuted Veronica's assertion on camera and refused to allow it to define who he was. He was attempting to preserve his reputation as the devoted but independent son, as seen by his sutured face, tearful confessionals, and remarks about selecting or severing relationships. Who didn't want to get involved in the family's mess? Micah uses control as a survival tactic. His reputation will fall apart if he agrees to Veronica's framing. He runs the danger of coming out as defensive or unkind if he pushes back. He ultimately gains visual sympathy as a result of his injuries, whether or not it is connected to the claim. Fans remember Stitches. His goal is to avoid being portrayed as the bad guy in someone else's trauma and to maintain his identity as the strong one, the role model, and the trustworthy sibling. Meanwhile, Ethan comes out with a bang. His little remark about the devil was careless and unpolished. It was unadulterated rage. Ethan sees Veronica as a danger to Micah and the already precarious stability of the family. Ethan has always battled the conflict between independence and allegiance. Although he strives to keep his siblings safe, he frequently loses control and snaps. His method of setting a firm boundary is to openly and on camera call Veronica derogatory names. She is not us, and the family is us. Belonging is Ethan's motivation. He must maintain his identity as the brother's protector, which is under jeopardy due to Veronica's story. The assertion isn't the only thing that makes him angry. It's about the worry that, after years of efforts to keep the family together, outsiders can still destroy it. Tegan comes in a different way. She is positioned as both the realism and the mediator in her comments, both on the show and in posts that are emphasized by fan accounts. She repeats Ethan's support of Micah without resorting to harsh language. Her apparent motivation is stability. Tegan gains from maintaining the family's united front while maintaining her composure. She doesn't want her identity to be defined by the upheaval, but she also doesn't want to appear to be supporting Micah. For aligning with Ethan offers protection. She plays the role of the voice of reason without being singled out by repeating his defense. Let's map Isaac now. Fans remark that he plays a calmer role on screen. He observes, responds, and is rarely loyal. His goal is to fit in with the group of older siblings. He obtains credibility and protection by remaining near Ethan and Micah. Playing the obedient younger brother who doesn't question the prevailing family story helps Isaac. He uses quiet as a tactic because it allows him to remain out of the spotlight without drawing criticism. Kim and Barry fit into the motive map as well if we zoom out. During wedding week, their on-screen conduct, including their cool distant entry and clipped speech, demonstrated that the disintegration of marriages continues to loom large over everything. Kim would have to acknowledge yet another rift in the family's reputation if she accepted Veronica's assertion. It would mean letting another outsider tarnish the PLA brand, which is something Barry has relied on. Controlling their image is their goal. They confirm less the less they speak. They avoid taking center stage by remaining supporting characters. How, therefore, do these stories benefit each individual? Veronica's story: I was silenced, I was hurt, and I refused to be erased by them. Even if some people mistrust her, this makes her sympathetic to viewers who can relate to being rejected. It makes her the main character instead of a supporting one. I didn't do this, Micah's story, and I refuse to let it define who I am. This maintains his reputation as the grounded PLA sibling, his career, and his allegiance to his family. That defense includes his injury, which emphasizes vulnerability rather than guilt. According to Ethan's story, Veronica, not us, is the issue. This enables him to still regard himself as the sibling's guardian. He sidesteps the question of whether the accusation merits further investigation by making her a villain. It's attack-based defense. Tegan's story: I support Micah but I want peace. She maintains her loyalty points with Micah and Ethan while looking sensible thanks to this. She seems solid, the sibling attempting to keep from losing it. Isaac's story: I'm loyal, I'm here, and I won't oppose anyone. He gains from his silence since it protects him from the type of scrutiny that Ethan or Micah must endure. By not upsetting anyone, he wins their trust. The storyline of Kim and Barry is, we won't engage. Their avoidance safeguards their own reputations, particularly considering how shaky their public image is already. The survival of their parental power is more important than Veronica. When mapped, each story depicts a character battling for a personal cause. Veronica battles for acceptance. Micah battles to be himself. Ethan battles for authority within the family. Tegan battles for tranquility. Isaac struggles to fit in. Barry and Kim battle about appearances. Although none of them speaks the complete truth by alone, each of them benefits from expressing it in their own unique way. Fans experience whiplash as a result of watching these episodes. The story takes a different turn with each post, confession, and silence. The motivations are human: identity, safety, tranquility, and survival. However, they clash when stacked together. And the show finds its force in that conflict. I now outline 4 primary ideas, each with a detailed reconstruction based on what was broadcast and shared online. Every theory is identified, and I then record which aspects of the episode lend credence to it and which do not. The seating chart trigger is Theory A. The scene opens as the wedding is being set up. Everyone is still tense from the counseling session. Around tables and seating arrangements, family members congregate. After reading the arrangement, Veronica feels left out or belittled. Words come out. A tense discussion about position and respect that swiftly becomes intimate. Voices are raised. Person pushes a chair. Table tilts. Micah gets hit in the face by a heavy table piece or decoration during the commotion. He requires sutures. The following video captures the aftermath. Ethan flipped tables in a fit of rage. Those photos appear in the trailer and wedding week edits. The obvious accumulation of animosity following the therapy session, as well as the trailer's depictions of tables being toppled and Micah needing stitches, lend credence to this notion. These elements come together to create a spectacular seating battle that leads into anarchy. The absence of any on-screen seating chart controversy contradicts this theory. Neither a confirmed public post nor a direct argument on a seating arrangement were seen on the episode. Although the seating chart version relies on inference rather than a moment that is depicted, it nevertheless suits the mood on screen. The setup accident is Theory B. Glassware and hefty objects are being moved by agitated, preoccupied persons at the start of the scene. Arguments start to bubble up. Without checking, someone pushes or drags a table. Environment. Micah passes by a swinging piece of decor or a misplaced hand. The injuries seem to have happened suddenly. Micah's injuries are later captured on camera, but the crash is not. Producers show the response shots and medical aftermath in the cut, but not the actual incident. The footage of the busy setup activities throughout wedding week and the trailer's pictures of the chaos and ruined decor provide significant support for this viewpoint. There is space for an accidental explanation because there isn't an obvious fight in the broadcast clip. What functions? Veronica's public remarks, which were recorded by recap sites, contradict the accident theory. She claimed to have committed a violent conduct and used language that suggested intentional injury in her social media posts. Outlets that follow the family documented those posts, which encourage viewers to believe in a narrative of premeditated abuse. The accident is believable yet untested because the episodes don't capture a clean accident moment on video. The off-camera shove is Theory C. From the main chamber, the action shifts to a less watched area. Dispute moves. Off-camera, either outside or into a hallway. A physical shove results from the escalation of voices. Micah trips, runs into a corner, and then starts to bleed. The cameras were either fixed on something else or weren't rolling. No video of the actual shove is shown, but producers later incorporate confessional bits and the edited aftermath. The fact that Veronica named a family member and detailed a violent, inebriated altering of Micah's face in her Instagram comments, as reported by outlets, lends credence to this allegation. These statements made by the public fit a story of a swift, violent deed out of sight. The concept that the incident occurred outside the prime camera footage is further supported by the teaser and episodes that depict Micah getting hurt while missing a cause. The lack of a clear on-screen witness or a confession from the accused family member in the broadcast episodes contradicts this idea. No shove was caught on camera to serve as proof, and the family hasn't offered an on-camera reenactment to support the claim. The producer escalation is Theory D. The scene starts with the pressure of productivity. Micah is given a loyalty ultimatum in a private interview question. To add drama, producers highlight a binary decision. These drive emotions to the limit and bring up comments in family discussions. After responding to pressure from off-camera, Micah makes an appearance on television with an ultimatum and a sewn nose. By displaying aftermath without cause, the cut strengthens the narrative arc and sells mystery. The editing pattern provides evidence in favor of this theory. Teaser. Confessionals follow the aftermath, but the cause is not mentioned. That scene is a well-known reality TV tactic to increase interest and tension. Micah's confessional includes a framed ultimatum, which lends credence to the notion that his on-camera performance was influenced by production pressure. Evidence of direct producer involvement in a physical altercation or in giving cast instructions to incite violence is what undermines this theory. Producers are not seen physically stepping in or giving someone violent instructions in the broadcast clip. The planning of a violent altercation has been verified by the official production statement. All four of these theories rely on the same verifiable pieces of footage, which makes them comparable. A serious accusation was made on tape during the therapy session. The sutures, Ethan's little demon line, and the turmoil at reception were all shown in the mid-season trailer. Although the moment of physical contact was omitted, the wedding week editing went back to those photos and confessionals. Several reconstructions are made possible by that altered pattern. Hypotheses A-C provide several explanations, but Theory D focuses on how production influences pressure and shapes results. The upturned tables, Ethan's confessional phrase, and the stitches are the most compelling, undeniable facts. They're visible on the screen. The time of contact and the identification of the perpetrator are the contested facts. Captured by several outlets, Veronica's public social media messages allege an attack and identify a family member. These entries serve as a piece of disputed evidence that is not part of the display. The center is left unoccupied by the show itself. Because of that absence, there are still a number of believable sequences for viewers to contemplate. What are some things to look out for in subsequent episodes? Seek out the incident's uncut video. One notion will be amply supported if producers show a continuous footage of the hallway camera or the reception. Listen carefully to anything Isaac or any other specified person says on TV. The balance will shift if a cast member assumes responsibilities on camera. If manufacturers include the producer escalation theory will be strengthened by the private interview clip that demonstrates how they presented Micah's decision. The center will continue to be a whole with conflicting narratives if no new footage surfaces and the actors continue exchanging public posts. Using just the publicly available photos and posts, each theory recreates a believable series of events. No one asserts proof. Each suggests a distinct actor with a distinct goal. The show did not include the cause in the segments that were broadcast. That editorial decision turns the audience into the judge. When fresh information surfaces, cast your vote based on proof, and steer the conversation toward confirmed claims, confessions, and on-screen video. In addition to what transpired between the actors, one of the most important questions raised by this debacle is how the production affected our perception of it. Selective editing is the foundation of reality television, and Welcome to Plathville is no different. We saw Micah's sutured face, Ethan referring to someone as a little demon, and glimpses of, at the wedding, tables flipped, but it didn't give us any reason. Why? Because filmmakers are aware that audiences are captivated by scenes that reveal aftermath without a reason. Our brains want to fill the void it causes. Week-to-week engagement, comment sections, and speculation are all fueled by that gap. You lean in when there are stitches and anger but no incident. You argue with your pals. You look at social media. Production wants that exact result. The mystery is eliminated if the entire scenario is shown in the trailer. By removing the "in the midst," they sustain the narrative for months. This tactic has been tried and tested on reality TV. The idea is to keep us wondering what's missing, whether it's a fight on Real Housewives or a surprise revelation on The Bachelor. Loyalty is also shaped by editing decisions. We feel sorry for Micah when the cameras stay on his face as he tries to explain. We take in Veronica's framing when the cut cuts to her remarks regarding chaos. The music rises and intensifies Ethan's rage when he lashes out with his little devil remark, "Feel good about yourself." Every decision, from the duration of a pause to the sequence of confessionals, creates a story. And because the cause is never shown, supporters are left with conflicting versions of the truth rather than a singular one. Let's now discuss accountability. Ethan and Veronica, among other cast members, comment on episodes or share their interpretations on Instagram. They are aware that viewers are eager to learn the specifics that are missing, yet once such allegations are made public, they are frequently misrepresented, reproduced, and reframed by followers. In real life, that loop can intensify conflict and damage reputations. Commentary must therefore draw a line. We only use confirmed facts, quotes that appear on screen, and posts that have been made public and covered by the media on this channel. We don't follow gossip. We don't make assumptions about people's private life beyond what they choose to disclose or broadcast. Additionally, there is one line that must never be crossed: harassment and doxing. The drama may captivate viewers, but that doesn't make it. It's acceptable to look up family information, phone numbers, or private addresses. That conduct breaches all ethical boundaries and endangers others. Here, producers are also accountable. They are aware that fans will conjecture when they release a trailer that suggests a violent injury without providing any context. To boost ratings, they rely on that conjecture. However, the issue of fairness comes up. Tease it like a fight misleads the audience if the incident was an accident. Cutting the video to protect if it was an assault. The aggressor absolves themselves of responsibility. In any case, the decision has repercussions, and the cast, not the production crew, bears the brunt of them. It's important to keep in mind that reality stars are actual individuals in addition to entertainers. The editing choices made in the control room are what they have to live with. Micah wears stitches as he moves around. Veronica is affected by the criticism of her posts. Olivia and Ethan cope with the criticism of their marriage on television. After coming up with a mystery that might not match, the editors, directors, and network executives go for home. The whole truth. Thus, it is our responsibility as viewers and commentators to be informed. Find out why the video is trimmed the way it is. Whose voice is being amplified. Recognize when you are being influenced by musical signals. Additionally, never forget that our level of speculation has ethical bounds. Harassment or breach of privacy should never be discussed, regardless of how complex the scenario gets. For this reason, doxing and targeted attacks are not tolerated on this channel, Starscoop US. We're open to discussion. Discussion is welcome. Contradictions should be pointed out. Crossing into the real world, however, is not harmful. The way that production shapes tales is something we can hold them responsible for. We can criticize cast members for their posts, but we always keep our criticism based on empathy, respect, and the truth. Ultimately, the purpose of trailers and cuts is to pique our curiosity. It's a clever TV, but it's also deceptive. The PLA wedding saga's missing moment serves as the ideal illustration. Although the aftermath is striking, the root cause is concealed. That missing element keeps us talking, but it also makes us think about accountability. Who gains when the truth is kept a secret? Who loses when rumors run wild? And how much of what we discuss is based on the reality of the family and how much is a fabrication of the network? As we get into the upcoming episodes, those are the questions that will be important. Let's bring everything together. A few things jump out after everything we've seen on screen and everything that has been made public. Firm ground. Micah did require sutures, and the incident was captured on camera. Ethan called someone a tiny monster in a furious on-camera reaction. With upturned tables and family strife, the setup and aftermath of the wedding reception were displayed. However, the crucial element, the reason for the injury, was not displayed. The riddle revolves around that absence, which sustains all the conflicting theories. The most compelling conclusion is that the show focused on the consequences rather than the cause. That decision makes room for ideas of purposeful conflict as well as accidents. Additionally, viewers are left to fill in the spaces that the network won't disclose. There are 3 things that viewers should be on the lookout for in the upcoming episodes. First, unprocessed video of the actual injury. We will be able to determine whether it was an accident or an intentional act if the cameras capture that moment without any edits. Second, even if it's indirect, the initial point of contact. A table that has slipped, an obvious shove, or a sharp comment that, before the disorder would cause the theories to go out of balance. Third, Micah's first reaction. We can infer from his statements in the minutes following the injury whether he believed it to be an attack, an accident, or something else entirely. I'd like to hear from you now. Do you believe that the missing sequence suggests an altercation, an accident, or something that was pushed backstage by the producers? Tell me which idea, in your opinion, best explains the evidence we currently have by leaving a comment below. My name is Maya Rose if you're new here, and this is Starscoop US. Please share this video with anyone who is following the Plathville story and press subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. The picture gets clearer the more voices there are in the discussion. As soon as fresh, verifiable footage is released, I'll be back. Until then, keep the conversation rooted in reality. Respect others and pay attention to those 3 hints. We'll be here to cover it when the truth is revealed.